Is it worth getting a budget-friendly link cable for PC VR instead of going fully wireless in 2022? Let's find out.
Okay.
When I first bought the Quest 2, I didn't actually intend on using it as a standalone headset. I actually intended on picking this up as a budget-friendly PC VR solution. As many of you may know now, if you have a capable PC, you can actually use your Quest 2 to play PC VR games with the use of a link cable. And while Oculus, or I guess Meta, have their own first-party link cable that you can get for a pretty hefty price, there are a plethora of decent third-party options to choose from out there. Well, the folks over at AMVR asked us to check out their link cable kit for review, and I figured this would be a cool opportunity to test the kit itself and compare it to the other wireless options out there, including Airlink and Virtual Desktop. I'd be very interested to see in 2022 if the wireless alternatives have gotten good enough to the point that this pretty much is obsolete. If you want to go ahead and skip straight to the comparisons, I'll leave chapters down below so you can skip ahead, but first, let's go ahead and take a look at what's inside the box. Out of the box, the kit includes a 20-foot USB-C to USB-A cable with an included USB-C adapter. You get 3 adhesive ceiling hooks along with 3 retractable VR cables. You also get some screw-in ceiling hooks with anchors and a hex key, some documentation, and a silicone cable strap for your headset. I ended up using the adhesive hooks for my setup and it was super easy. Just peel off the backing and stick it to your ceiling. I'd also recommend laying the cable out from your PC first just to get an idea of the most optimal way to hang up the hooks. For my setup, I sort of just evenly spaced them out in somewhat of a straight line. Next, hang the pulleys on the hooks and attach the cable to the little rubber straps on the bottom of each pulley. If you haven't already, plug one end of the cable into your PC, the other into your Quest, and you're good to go. As you're playing around with them, you may find that you want to adjust the tension of these a little bit, and you can do so using the included hex key. Just locate the hole towards the bottom and turn counterclockwise to loosen the tension or clockwise to increase it. As far as how everything feels with this whole system, I think it's pretty darn good. You can still obviously tell that you're tethered to something, but it's a night and day difference when compared to just having a cable being dragged in the ground behind you. I've been using this setup every day for a little over a week now, and luckily all of the adhesive hooks are still in place and show no signs of, falling down or anything like that. All of the cables are still working just fine. Everything seems to be holding up well so far, so that's a great sign. Overall, I'd say it's a pretty solid kit, especially for it being just $35. Now, when it comes to wireless PC VR with the Quest 2, you basically have 2 options. You can either use Airlink, which is Meta's experimental feature with the Quest 2. The other option is Virtual Desktop, a $20 application that basically lets you stream your desktop to your Quest 2 in a handful of virtual environments. Both of these methods allow you to wirelessly play games on your Quest 2, so I figured it'd be a cool test to see how the link cable stacks up to both Airlink and Virtual Desktop to kind of see which one is the best quality. So without any further delay, let's go ahead and put the headset on and take a look. Okay, so starting off with a game that I think a lot of people play on Steam VR, and that's Blade and Sorcery. I had to turn off blood and gore for YouTube reasons, but yeah, this is how it looks with the link cable, and I gotta say, it looks pretty nice. Everything seems pretty fluid, and I'm not noticing any harsh compression going on in the game, so I'd say this works very nicely. When you're playing a game like this using a link cable, having the pulleys is so important because you're constantly moving around and turning in this game, and the last thing you want is to be tripped up and tangled in a cable, both for immersion and safety reasons. Like I said before, the image quality was fine and I didn't really notice any dips in frame rate, so yeah, the link cable with this pulley system is great. Now let's switch over to Virtual Desktop. And yeah, I don't know how much it shows up on YouTube, but there is a bit of compression on the screen when I'm playing, especially in the darker areas. This seems to be pretty common for a lot of games played wirelessly, really, but with that said, I think this is a really solid experience, and I experience little to no lag when using Virtual Desktop. I'd say the image quality is just a touch better when you're using the link cable, but yeah, this is absolutely a good way to play PC VR games if you don't want any wires whatsoever. Lastly, let's go ahead and switch over to Airlink, and yeah, I gotta say, at least with the experience I had compared to Virtual Desktop, this is a noticeably worse experience. I would occasionally notice a bit of latency from time to time, not too often, but the overall image clarity just isn't as good by comparison to either the link cable or virtual desktop. It's not a terrible experience by any means, especially since it's a free feature. But yeah, I do think that both virtual desktop and the link cable are a better choice to go with if you're looking for a smooth experience. Alright, so the other game I wanted to test out was No Man's Sky. This was the game I was most interested in trying out because this is the PC VR game that I probably play the most. The footage you see on screen right now is from virtual desktop, and again, I think overall it's a really good experience, especially for it being wireless. Admittedly, I'm running a mid-tier rig with a 2060, and No Man's Sky isn't the most well-optimized game for VR, but what I'm looking for is stuff like lag or image compression, and I have no real complaints. I'm able to play the game just fine, and I'm not losing any sort of immersion when I'm playing it. Unfortunately, strangely enough, the same cannot be said for either the link cable or using Airlink. I have no idea why, but every time I've tried playing this game using either method, I would just get a choppy experience that rendered the game unplayable. I've tried making every adjustment that I could think of, but yeah, I don't know, for some reason it just doesn't want to play nice with either the cable or Airlink. I can't imagine it's something wrong with the cable. It's likely a software issue, or I suppose it could be something to do with my mid-range PC. But yeah, for some reason, I'm only able to get No Man's Sky to run well on virtual desktop. If you have any suggestions on why this could be, feel free to let me hear it in the comments down below. All right, with that being said, who would I recommend this cable kit to? Well, for starters, if your internet isn't very good or your Wi-Fi router is something of a relic, then the cable option is definitely the way to go. Don't try and do wireless with that because you're just asking for a bad experience. If you also happen to be a big stickler when it comes to things like latency or image clarity and you really don't like to see any sort of compression when you're wearing your headset, then I would definitely recommend the link cable over any sort of wireless solution because even with a really solid experience with virtual desktop, it always seems to be an inevitability that you're going to notice some sort of, I don't know if you call it artifacting or compression, especially in those like lower lit areas. You do kind of on rare occasions experience that with the link cable from time to time, but it's much less so when you're using a hardwired connection versus using a wireless solution. With that being said, if you have a good internet connection and a solid Wi-Fi router, especially one with a 5 gigahertz band, then I'd honestly say the wireless route is probably the best option for you. For just $20, Virtual Desktop is an awesome application that allows you to wirelessly play your PC VR games, but it also works really well just as a method of streaming your desktop to your Quest. And also just a side note, even when Airlink is working well compared to Virtual Desktop, I think the overall user experience of Virtual Desktop is miles better than the kind of old Oculus Link dashboard. I think that, yeah, Virtual Desktop just for $20 gives you an all-around better experience. But yeah, that's just my take anyway. I would love to hear your thoughts and opinions down in the comments down below. Thank you as always for watching the video and checking out the channel. If you like content like this, do be sure to let us know by hitting that like or dislike button. And yeah, if you want to see more VR content, maybe check out the recent video we did on a really cool finger tracking FPS game. It's really cool. You should definitely check that out. Feel free to hit us up on any of our social media platforms, including our Discord community server, all in the description down below. And yeah, that's enough rambling out of me. Thank you again so much for watching. My name is Blake, and for all things tech, games, to anything nerdy in between, be sure and subscribe to Digital Cynics. Have a good one, everyone. We'll see you next time.